Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar. Today we are talking about Scrum Master at scale. My name is Sharad Julka. I'm an Agile coach. Okay, what is our challenge? Let us understand the challenge the teams face. We have a large enterprise. We have top executives, management, the stakeholders, middle management, we have directors, product managers, product owners, program managers, all of them. We have teams, DevOps teams, Agile teams, we have customers, we have suppliers, all of them together. Some of them are part of the enterprise, some of them are outside the enterprise. Like for example, the customer stands outside. The supplier of services, supplier of products, supplier of resources, supplier of people. Those stand outside the organization, outside the enterprise. Now we are talking about an enterprise which might be big, very big, medium-sized enterprise, which has a lot of people working together, hundreds to thousands. There are challenges of dependencies. There are challenges of interdependencies of various teams, various groups working together, ultimately having a common objective. Now, this common objective is declared by the vision, through the vision by the executive, CEO. Then there are managers, they have their own goals, their targets, their own objectives. There are products which have to be delivered to the customers, so customers have their own expectations. Now, why I'm talking about this? I'm talking about this because there are multiple expectations from multiple parties. Now, let's bring in Agile Team. So, where is our Agile Team? There it is. It's one of these teams. Now, the Agile Team has to work to realize a product or a service and has to deliver it to the customer. In a large enterprise, even in a medium-sized enterprise, this does not go out to the customer directly. It goes through various stakeholders, which means all these stakeholders have their say into what goes to the customer and what shape and when it goes to the customer. Obviously, it is based on the priority and the business value of the customer, of what the customer decides. So the Agile team has to adhere. So if I draw all those interaction points, the Agile team interacts with the executive. It could be through a briefing, it could be through a town hall, with the managers, with the middle level and the senior managers, through various one-on-ones, through expectations, session meetings, and with the product owners, the program managers directly, understanding their requirements. The Agile team also comes in contact with the customer, either directly, mostly indirectly, through product owners, business analysts, and the executives. Now, the team in this setup has a lot of expectations. And there are multiple expectations from these teams. Now, let's talk about this team. It does multiple activities. It has to adhere to the requirements that are coming from the customer. It has to attend ceremonies. It has to participate in the ceremonies. It has to go through that learning process. It develops and delivers solutions, which are necessarily the products and the services, to the product owners, to the product managers, and finally to the customer. Now, whether it goes as a hand-on or a hand-off, or whether it goes directly to the customer. It communicates within the team and outside the team. It continuously improves on its practices. So it has to go through that learning process. It's called the inspect and adopt. The team is expected to, and team does, collaborate with various stakeholders. And finally, the team is expected to, but team also innovates. You see, in these interactions, in various setups, there are managers, there are product owners, but there is one person who helps the team in standing to its commitment to perform all these activities at the right time. We know that person is the Scrum Master. So the Scrum Master helps the team adopt the Scrum process or any other process for that matter, or any other framework, which is an Agile framework, definitely. The Scrum Master helps the team improvise, improve on its practices, adopts principles. The Scrum Master continuously works so that the impediments are removed. Obviously, you might ask the question, what is new here? I'll tell you what is new. Let's go to the next. Here the Scrum Master is not only removing the impediments, facilitating the program execution, helping the teams become high performance teams. Also inspect and adopt. But what we have to understand is this Scrum Master does it all within the aspect of the enterprise. Let's focus here. So see, a lot of things that the Scrum Master would do, the Scrum Master would do in a large enterprise, keeping view of the team's interest, the team's benefit, team's progress, and team's performance. There is where the Scrum Master helps the team. In a large setup, the Scrum Master has to interface between the team and the large setup, consisting of various managers and executives, the customer and the supplier. In that kind of setup, the Scrum Master has to help the team not only scale from its own work, but also scale up to working, collaborating with other teams and other parties. Now, irrespective of the framework that the team adopts at a large level, at a scaled up level, the Scrum Master has to come into interaction with all these parties. So Scrum Master definitely is the one who has to scale himself. So who needs to scale along with the team? The Scrum Master. The Scrum Master, where is the Scrum Master? The Scrum Master is sitting inside the team. Now, the Scrum Master has to work on each of these skills. So I would say a Scrum Master works on his or her own skill level over a period of time to scale himself or herself to help the team. Let's go back. Let's go back and see where the Scrum Master works. We might go a little step before this and see where the team actually does multiple activities. From a scaling point of view, when the team is developing, what does Scrum Master do? The Scrum Master is helping the team do the sprint planning. But here the question is about team working with other teams and performing sprint planning together. The Scrum Master has to not only understand what the current team is working on, it has to also understand that this team is working with other teams and developing a larger product. So the Scrum Master has to work with other Scrum Masters. which means Scrum Master is part of its own team of Scrum Masters. The Scrum Master not only is a Scrum Master of his own team, but also a part of another team, maybe a Scrum Master for another team. That is a Scrum Master of a Scrum Masters. Maybe, maybe not, but he or she participate not only in the current team's activities, but also in other team, its own team, resolving impediments, syncing up with other teams, ensuring that the progress is described and shared with other team members. When it comes to communication, the Scrum Master takes up the role of communicating the progress of the current team, of his or her team, and ensuring, I'm sorry, my apologies. The Scrum Master ensures that the Scrum Master is helping his or her team into communicating with other team members from other Scrum teams, other Agile teams. The Scrum Master also participates in ceremonies of other teams. Takes up along with him or her, takes up other team members from his team or her team to the other teams and sees that they resolve the dependencies. The Scrum Master ensures that the team is innovating along with other teams. So you see, in this whole context, the Scrum Master is not only responsible for the activities of the team, but is responsible for the activities of the team in context with other teams that this team is working with. Again, that complex? No, it is not. Here, the Scrum Master has to scale himself or herself into performing those activities that the team can now very well collaborate with others, very well communicate with others, very well improvise, keeping in view the larger team where the Scrum Master is part of. Now come to the next level, a Scrum Master's own activities. We discussed about the Scrum Master's activities in context of team activities. Now, what about the Scrum Master's own activities? Here, the Scrum Master is identifying the patterns, anti-patterns, not only to its own level. For example, there are anti-patterns related to sprint planning, to daily stand-up, but also anti-patterns related to the sync-up meetings, the anti-patterns related to larger planning with the other teams. The Scrum Master has to ensure that he or she removes not only its own impediments, but helps the team remove other impediments of other teams. Now, when a Scrum Master, for example, goes to a sync-up meeting, he says, okay, he gets an impediment from other team and says, oh, all right, so my team is working on an item, a story, which ultimately is going to be consumed by another team. So the Scrum Master will ensure that he brings back that feedback, that update, and tells the team, hey, you have to work on this story faster because there is a team waiting for it. So the impediments are not only with respect to the current team, but also beyond that. Now the next is more important, facilitating program execution. Now that might sound similar or something familiar to some of you. What is a program here? A program is a set of projects. It's a set of logical projects. I might say that projects term do not appear into a product environment of agile environment. I'd say not. We deal with realistic scenarios where we are working on multiple projects. The teams are working on multiple projects, multiple products, multiple solutions, and multiple teams come together. A set of similar products or one product, many teams working together forms a program. And here the team or multiple teams working together can and should scale up. The Scrum Master has to now understand that the team is part of a program, and program really needs to be delivering over a period of time. May not be every iteration, but multiple iterations working together leading to a solution. Maybe at the end of 3 months, maybe at the end of 6 months. So where does the Scrum Master help? The Scrum Master helps the Chief Scrum Master to ensure that the progress is up to date, to ensure that the team is adhering to its commitment every sprint, sprint by sprint. Now, did we miss a point here? Yes, one more thing. A Scrum Master may not be a Scrum Master of one team only. A Scrum Master can be taking care of the ceremonies, facilitating execution of more than one team, maybe two teams, maybe three teams. Although I would not recommend that, three teams, but two teams is possible. In that context, the Scrum Master does help the team or the two or three teams he's working or she is working with, and ensuring that the program executes on time and the team understand what their commitments are. If the team is not able to adhere to commitment because of a technical issue, because of a infrastructure issue, because of a people issue, then those updates are properly given to other teams and other stakeholders. A Scrum Master has to ensure that the team is continuously improving on its performance, delivering more stories, more story points. And not by push, but by pull. And how does he do that? The Scrum Master comes and, I would say, monitors various parameters. One of them could be as I said, the velocity. One of them could be the number of automation tests, could be the number of defects, number of the requirements, the throughput of stories, and would continuously ask the team, are we improving on this parameter? Are we improving on this criteria? As a team, are we working on creating some steps, following some steps so that we are improving on this? And that's how the Scrum Master ensures that the team is becoming better, performing better, and improvising every time. And that's also part of the inspect and adopt, so I won't go into that. And that's how the Scrum Master works towards scaling himself. Now, there are multiple situations in which a Scrum Master is not only adhering to practices, adhering to principles of Agile, but also is required to work on the soft side. That is on the soft skills of the team. Communication, understanding the needs of the team, understanding the needs of the various team members. In that case, a Scrum Master definitely is the leader. What I believe is the Scrum Master is the future leader. What I believe is the Scrum Master is a stepping stone for the future leader. And I see many organizations not talking about any person, any individual from the team or from outside the team who is targeting to become a future leader, a successful leader, has to go through the position of a Scrum Master. And you know why? You know it. Because a Scrum Master is the one who is able to get the things done, not by force, not by push, but by influence, but by reason, but by improvement. Because the Scrum Master looks at the person, looks at the team from whole perspective. That is where the Scrum Master also needs to scale. The Scrum Master needs to scale in terms of individual and personal aspirations and understand what motivates each and every team member in his or her team. And then ensure to the best of his ability that the motivation criteria as far as possible is taken care. Now, we know the drill. The motivation is not same for everyone in the team. And that's why the Scrum Master needs to go through a lot of training, a lot of coaching himself or herself to be able to scale. Now here we're not talking about what coaching trainings are required. What we are asking is that the Scrum Master needs to scale. Now we might do another session on what coaching. In this webinar, that's not the target, obviously. So let's take account of what we have talked about so far. The Scrum Master is the one who removes impediments. We know that. The Scrum Master who is one is servant leader. But might I ask a question, is Scrum Master still the servant leader? Well, I see the Scrum Master is moving away from, or moving in addition to being a servant leader, the Scrum Master is also becoming a leader, a leading by example. Because not every Scrum Master I see today is only a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master also is a developer. There are many Scrum Masters who are test engineers, Scrum Masters who are lead engineers, Scrum Masters who are architects, designers, and they lead by example. They are able to execute the responsibility and leading, but not by influence, not by push, but by reasoning, by logical reasoning, by thought, by encouraging, by motivating the team members. So a Scrum Master definitely needs to own the skills. One of the important topics that I would also talk about is innovation. A Scrum Master should be the one who should be encouraging the team to innovate. And that's where the team is able to improvise. That's where the team is able to grow on their technical skills. Innovation is a regular exercise and should be a regular exercise. Innovation is not one time. Innovation should be part and parcel of the iterations, maybe once in multiple iterations, maybe once in, but it should be a regular exercise where the team, where the Scrum Masters should come together, organize such opportunities and avenues for teams to innovate. Another area where I would like the Scrum Master to scale up is technical skills. Now, technical, I do not mean real technical skills, although I did say that some of the lead engineers, test engineers, architects, and designers, they are successfully executing the role of Scrum Masters. What I mean is technical is where the Scrum Masters are able to lead by example. So you may or may not be developing, but you should be able to understand why the team is facing an issue, where the team is facing the issue. Although this is not a mandatory skill for a Scrum Master, but this is very desired in today's date. A Scrum Master is able to connect and able to respond very successfully with the team. If the team feels that the Scrum Master is able to understand our problem, is able to understand our situation, and would be able to help us. So, if you are looking at a functional role, a totally functional role for a Scrum Master, I would say that is right, that is good, because there are functional skills required, there are soft skills required, but you might also think about revising and going back to your technical skills. That was what I would talk about scaling for a Scrum Master. I would like to take up some questions. So that is it. Thank you.